What is good people? You are now listening to another episode of At the Plate with Danny Foxworth. With a side of Since We Last Spoke, I am your humble narrator, Danny Foxworth, and today's guest, let me tell you something, man. If you know me, you know that I'm a staunch advocate for meeting your internet friends in real life, and I have the pleasure of doing that with this guy on several occasions. Fellow Tar Heel brother, he's a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. He be cracking and adjusting backs. He be cracking them backs, yo. Man, Carolina connection, Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Yeah, you can see him out here out in these Twitter streets at Just Call Me Mav. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Rick Dowell, aka Mav, in the building. What's good, bro?
Hold on, let me see if I can take it back to filling the lanes right quick. It's been a second. Hold on. What up? What is going on, good peoples?
I love
Thank
it,
you
man.
for having me, man. This is the first time I've plugged in this microphone and done a podcast in almost a decade, man. So I appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you.
Man, filling the lanes. Boy, you took it back with that one.
Yeah, that was a good time, man. That was a really good time. It's interesting to see how the fellas are all doing. You know, Trill is a professor, and Nick is doing TV producing, and Cheese got his own like beard product line and everything. Like, so yeah, folks are doing their thing, man. Folks are doing their thing. That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But man, I was a big fan of y'all's pod though, man. Seriously.
And those are some good times. Those are not a lot of sober times, but those are some good times. Like a lot of the stuff we were doing back then, we probably couldn't get away with right now. But yeah, you know, you were young and dumb, and we made it happen.
Hey, bees like that sometimes.
Yes, sir.
So let's take it back to the very beginning. Wilkesboro, North Carolina.
Yep. The home of NASCAR.
Yes, sir. The country back road. So talk about what it was like growing up in Wilkesboro, North Carolina.
So, like, Wilkesboro is just like any other country place in the South, man. It is what you make of it. There's a lot of, you know, I was lucky that, you know, I was around a lot of family. Like, everybody that lived on our road was all related to us. So it's uncles and cousins and aunts and everything. So by the time I moved there, like I moved there in 6th grade because my mom and pops broke up when I was, you know, much younger. So when we moved back there, I was the new kid, and you know, I didn't talk with a twang, and I said yes sir and no sir. So and I made some enemies quick. You know how kids are. You know, who this new dude, who he think he's special and whatever. But no, it was cool, man. I still call it home, even though there's not much for me to go back to now. You know, as you get older, especially I was the youngest of 5 kids. So by now, like my mom and pops have passed. All my aunts and uncles pretty much have passed. So I don't get back there as much as I should, as I would like to, really, because there's nothing to go back to. But we got some land, you know, we got some land back there. So when the time comes, we're gonna go back to the country and put on some overalls and a straw hat and live off the land, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Hit a Piggly Wiggly every now and then.
Oh man, Piggly Wiggly and Bi-Lo's. See, you know, Bi-Lo's. Because I used to work at Bi-Lo's. See.
Wow.
Yeah, Bi-Lo's and Lowe's Food. So like, I don't know, a lot of the listeners might not know, like they know Lowe's Hardware, right? So that was started in North Wilkesboro, right? So old man Jim Lowe, like it was just a little small hardware store. And so my father, I guess in like 1950, 1952, something like that, when he was graduating from high school, he went to old man Jim is what they called him. And he said, you know, he tried to get a job, and old man Jim wouldn't hire him. He said, listen, you're too smart to be working here. You need to go to college. You need to go to the service. And it pissed my dad off. And my dad was like, you know what? I'm going to come back here and I'm going to buy this I'm going to buy this hardware store from your ass, and I'm going to kick you out and I'm going to fire you. I really wish he hadn't said that. I really wish Jim had given him a job, because I might have changed the trajectory of my life by now, because everybody, janitors back then, were getting broken off when they went public and everything. But yeah, so buy lows, all that kind of good stuff. You know the deal.
Man, you took it. I didn't know the Bilo reached all the way out to North Carolina.
Yep, Bilo's. I was a cashier at Bilo's. That was my first job.
Wow.
Yeah.
I learned something today, man. I miss Bilo.
So somebody told me that Bilo bought Piggly Wiggly. Is that true? Because there for a while I couldn't find Piggly Wigglies, like in Savannah or whatever.
They bought. I think they bought some of the They bought some of the Piggly Wigglies, but like the Piggly Wigglies that were like corporate instead of the ones that were like independently owned.
Mm-hmm.
I think they bought those out because
okay, got you.
Yeah, because the one because the Piggly Wiggly in Monk's Corner in my neck of the woods is still around, and the name never changed or anything. I went there to get breakfast today.
Did they get the good fried okra?
Their okra it's okay.
See, that's back in Wilkesboro and in Goldsboro, because that's where I was born, in Goldsboro, North Carolina. Like I remember distinctly how good the fried okra was, and I know there's a lot of folks listening that are tilted their head like the RCA dog, like what are these fools talking about? But listen, this is good country lifestyle talk for you guys.
Yes, sir. I mean that I grew up on fried okra and rice. That was living right there. So
absolutely.
So while you was talking about you being in the age of you being able to work, especially being in the high school age, I want to talk about you playing basketball in high school, because I remember seeing a throwback pic of yours, and y'all had the team picture, and you had the clean shaven, but you had the mean Ron Johnson mustache. I was like, that's my guy right there, man.
Hey man, I look like a certified pedophile. All right. But yeah, I had no edge up, no hairline, no fade, no nothing. But I did have the Air Jordan 3s, the cement 3s. Okay, so, and it's funny because like I said, my parents were divorced, so I lived with my mom, and she spoiled the hell out of me. And so anytime there was some Jordans, she'd go get them for me. So we got them Jordans, and those were like the first. I think those were the first Jordans that ever touched 200. They might have been 170, 175 or whatever. So she got those for me, and so had those in the picture. And because I'm a man of the people, I let all my teammates take the individual picture with my Jordans on. So if you ever go back to 1988 at Woodward Junior High School, you will see all the guys, all the black guys, wearing my Jordans. So that's my contribution to the culture. But like I wasn't no good, man. I could shoot, I couldn't dribble. I didn't like to run. Defense was really optional. And by about my junior year, I was like, you know what? I'm really not for all this sweat and stuff. I'm really way too lazy. So that was it. I didn't even have a Bundy moment, an Al Bundy moment. Like it's just something I did. But I've always loved basketball. And if you find a tree and put a rim at about 8.5 feet, I'll throw down on that.
And so going from that, and speaking of basketball in North Carolina, so North Carolina Tar Heels.
Yes.
How did that love affair start?
So the funniest part about me and Carolina is growing up, I didn't really like them. And it's one of those things where everybody likes something, and so you just want to be different. So like I can distinctly remember, I never pulled for Duke. Like, let's not go that far. Okay, I never pulled. I was just kind of agnostic about it. I was just like, okay, basketball, whatever. I like Jordan, but I wasn't really that fanatical about Carolina. That didn't happen until I got to college. I went to UNC Charlotte, And I remember when they beat Michigan. I remember us hopping in the car and driving down to driving the 2 hours down to Chapel Hill just to party on that Monday night. And then after that, it was, it was cool. A couple of my frat brothers knew like Brian Reese that, played on that championship team. And then I met like, another couple of friends had some folks that walked on. So I met, Touche and Stack and Ra and all those folks. And then, as I got older and was able to go to some more of the games and everything. So it's my heart now. It's absolutely my heart. If I would love to, the only thing that I would change about it is if I can get my T outliners and head to Chapel Hill and see if I can get that line right on Hubert. Like if I could just do that, if we could get him a good edge up, I think that will be worth at least 7 points a game. I do.
Yeah, we reverse that juju.
Oh man, listen. What'd you say? It looked like he gets edged up with a spoon.
With a spoon, yeah.
That's problematic. That's problematic, brother. That is problematic.
Indeed. I don't disagree with you. So chiropractor.
Yes.
So what was the catalyst for you wanting to become a chiropractor?
So I always say that chiropractic picked me. I didn't pick it. Growing up, I always had migraines, like bad migraines. Anytime I would get hot, anytime I would play too hard, I'd get headaches to the point where I would almost have to throw up, right? Wow. And so by the time I got to college, it was getting even worse. I was sitting in class, I was sitting in my room, not able to, all the lights off, can't hear, everything, no TV on, no nothing. With a cold compress on my head. And it turned out, now, by the way, at this point, I'm also pre-med. I'm going to be a pediatrician. And so at the time, my roommate got into a car accident, right? And so I'm the only one in the apartment with a car. So I'm taking him back and forth to his chiropractic visits. Again, I didn't believe in chiropractic. I thought they were quacks. All right. So I would sit in the car. I wouldn't even sully myself to even go in the office. So I would sit in the car while he went on his visits. And to this day, I can't remember what made me go into the office. I don't know if I had to go to the bathroom or whatever, but I went into the office and my roommate was like, Dr. Simmons, this is my roommate that I was telling you about with the migraines. And so Dr. Simmons sits me down and he gives me a spiel about this is what chiropractic does. This is how it can help you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, whatever, get out of my face, whatever, quack. And so he said, I'll make you a bet. He said, I will treat you for free for a month. If I can't get rid of your migraines, I'll give you $200. He said, but if I do get rid of them, you got to go to a chiropractic seminar with me. Okay. Now you think it's 93, 94, I'm in college. $200 is like $2,000. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, this is a no brainer. He got rid of my migraines in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Right? And I was like, okay. So there's something to this. I'm still skeptical. So I went to a seminar and learned about what it was and what it does. And, I'm looking at him and he works 3 days a week and he plays golf the other 2 days a week. And I'm like, yo, this is for me. This kind of lifestyle is for me. And then I decided to go to chiropractic school. And when I say that it changed my life, like that's kind of an understatement. Like everything good in my life right now is because of chiropractic, because of that one day at that chiropractor's office. Like it gave me a career. It gave me a wife. Like I met my wife. She was a patient of mine. She doesn't like to, for me to tell anybody that, but she was a patient of mine. You got to do what you got to do, Danny. You got to do what you got to do. But no, like it's so fulfilling. Like there are, and it sounds corny. I know it sounds corny, but there's never a day when I don't want to go to work, ever. Now there might be a day when I don't feel like getting out of bed, but there's never a day that I don't feel like coming to work. Because it's just, you get to help folks and you get to see, like I've got tattooed on my arm right now, expect miracles. And I get to see that with folks, like with, especially now that I've transitioned into starting to see kids, and helping them with, autism and things like that. Like it's amazing, man. I'm beyond blessed.
Wow.
So
I never would have considered chiropractor practices to help with autism. How does that help?
So, and there's a reason for that, because so chiropractic was founded on the basis of working with your nervous system. Okay, the way your nervous system interacts with the rest of your body, organs, glands, muscles, all that kind of stuff. What has happened is a lot of chiropractors have punked out and they've taken the easy way out. They've taken, okay, you get into a car accident, I can help you. You fall at work, I can help you because one, that's where all the money is. Okay, like chiropractors that do personal injury make a lot of money. Trust me, they make a lot of money. So that's one, it's more lucrative, and it's also easy. It's easy to be like, back hurt, me fix. Everybody understands that. But if I'm going to sit in front of a mom and say, well, listen, the reason that your child is having these problems is because the brain is not interpreting the input, the sensory input. So if you can't interpret what's coming in, then what's going out is going to be bad. Just like if someone's trying to give you directions on a cell phone, if it's chopped up and it's breaking up, you're not going to get to where you're supposed to be, right? Because you're not getting the full information. And so what we do, and again, this is off into the weeds, and I know that this might be a little bit more than you asked, but a lot of the times with kids, and especially with the pediatrics and the infants and whatnot, a lot of times it's birth trauma. We're seeing a lot more cesarean sections, a lot more forceps delivery and things like that. And so what you're doing is you're pulling and putting a lot of stress on that baby's spine when they don't even have any muscles to develop to protect it. And so what ends up happening is you have those bones that move out of place, and it's putting a lot of pressure on those nerves, especially like the vagus nerve that starts in your skull, runs down beside your neck, all the way down to your stomach. And the vagus nerve actually works like a brake pedal to kind of slow everything down for the child. Okay, for adults too, but let's talk about it for a child. So if you've got a kid that's pegged at red line and the vagus nerve isn't working, then it's just bouncing off red line all the time. And so that's when you get autism, that's when you get ADHD, anxiety, things of that, behavioral problems. We call them all just sensory processing disorders. So by adjusting that top bone and getting the pressure off of the vagus nerve, you allow the child to calm down and the body to process the input like it's supposed to. And you get good processing of the input, then the output's going to be more manageable and more what you expect.
Wow.
So to speak.
That is a breakdown for your ass right there. Love it,
man. Listen, I am very passionate about I'm blessed. I'm absolutely blessed. So I'm very, very passionate about what I do, and the opportunities that I have to help folks. So,
and I know I said in the previous episode that it's also, I was talking about finding a primary care practitioner, and I said, even though you're proactive about your health, it's also paramount that your healthcare provider gives a shit about your well-being as well. And you, sir, are doing the Lord's work. And
yeah, I appreciate that. And I appreciate that. And I will also stress to folks, anyone that's listening, is ask questions, man. Ask questions. If it's a chiropractor, if it's your primary care, if it's your endocrinologist, whatever, ask questions. Don't just take what they say as gospel. Obviously, you want to listen to them. Because they have gone to school. They do have that expertise. But ask questions. Get you an understanding and be more proactive in your health. Okay, because that's the only way you're going to get healthy, is if you think about your health, not just when you're sick, okay, but think about your health when you feel great. It's got to be a 24-hour thing.
100%. Boy, you put the bow in that one, man. So
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. So I guess that concludes the since we last spoke portion of the program. So now we go. Yeah, You're gonna hop in the Superman booth and get into the At the Plate attire.
Let's go. Let's go.
What were your earliest baseball memories?
You know what my earliest baseball memories are? Again, growing up in North Carolina, it was all basketball all the time. So I didn't really care about football. I didn't really care about baseball. And when I started, even though my brother was a very good baseball player, and I used to go to his games, or they used to take me to his games. But I started watching baseball when I was like 11, 12 years old. And again, being from North Carolina, we didn't have any pro teams. Okay. So I just watched the first thing, I just picked up whoever it was. And this man, Doc Gooden, and that damn Uncle Charlie curveball of his was just the most mesmerizing thing I'd ever seen in my life. I could not understand how he did it. I would use all my mama's tape, her masking tape. I would get like ball up paper and then tape it up and try to figure out how to throw a curveball. And it was just mesmerizing. And so I became a Mets fan. Okay. Just like around that time, when I started watching football, I became a Chicago Bears fan because of, Jim McMahon and Sweetness and the Fridge and, all those guys. But yeah, so it was a good time to be a Mets fan, obviously, with, obviously now that we know that they're all coked up out of their mind and on crack and doing prostitutes and whatever else the hell they could do. But that was a really, really fun team. I'll never forget watching them. It was the NL championship series against Mike Scott and the Houston Astros. And that's when I think this was 87, 88. This is when Mike Scott was completely unhittable. Like he was throwing that split finger fastball and and I was like, okay, so how does holding it with your finger split, how does that do it? I can never understand it ever, until still to this day. I'm not necessarily sure that I know the physics of it, but like pitching was always my thing. Always my thing.
So did you have any other favorite pitchers that you were just mesmerized by?
No. I mean, later on, Pedro Martinez, because if you threw a good curveball, if you threw one of those looping curveballs, you had a fan in me. Like I don't care about sliders. I don't care about changeup. If you could throw a good curveball to make somebody's knees buckle, you get the knees buckling young, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Like I'm gonna be a fan forever. And Pedro Martinez could do that. Who else? What was the guy's name for the Dodgers? Sid Fernandez.
Ooh, you took it back.
Yeah. So, but yeah, just watching, I was always a big fan of pitchers. And then of course, obviously King Griffey Jr. I liked him because he was like the first one to wear his hat backwards. So I'd wear my hat backwards, and my father, being the military father he is, like, boy, what the hell are you doing with that hat on backwards? Act like you got some sense. So, but yeah, he made it cool for folks to wear their hat backwards and everything. So him and Will Clark. Will Clark still has one of the most amazing swings from the San Francisco Giants. But yeah, I mean, but the Mets broke my heart so many times, man. They broke my heart so many times.
Let's get into that.
Yeah. So I moved to Atlanta for chiropractic school in '97, which was like at the peak of the Atlanta Braves dominance, right? And so I lived here from '96 to 2003 when I moved to Texas. And I went to several games when the Mets came to town. Never saw them beat the Braves. Never saw them beat the Braves. And this is gotta be at least 15 games, 20 games over the 7 years. Now I got kicked out. What's his name? Was it Jesse Orozco? It might not have been Jesse Orozco. We were sitting over the Mets bullpen at one of the games here at Turner Field. And I can remember saying something to one of the relievers, like, we need you to get this out. That dude called the security, pointed at me, got us all kicked out. Got us all kicked out. And I'm like, yo, I got on a Mets jersey and you get me kicked out. So that was when I was almost on that FU Mets. So yeah, it's hard being a Mets fan, man. And every time, like, my cousin Ty is a huge Mets fan. He's from New Jersey. And every year it's like Lucy in that football. He thinks he's going to be able to kick that football. And by about May, June, like, he knows that they ain't going nowhere. They ain't going nowhere. So now he's like, well, we're going to get Shohei Ohtani. Okay. All right. So you want to wish something bad on Shohei Ohtani. Okay, great.
Yeah, that team is an absolute mess right now. It's ridiculous.
I mean, like, I didn't think it could get any worse than an owner who ran a Ponzi scheme, but good Lord, it's just so bad. It really, really is. So like Bomani Jones says, I had to get off that narcotic. Like, I'm a very casual fan of the Mets. Like, I've still got my Piazza jersey. I've still got my fitted, that I'll wear with the right shoes, and I'll go to a game, but I'm not invested in them. They ain't gonna hurt me again. I watched Kenny Rogers walk home the winning run in the National Championship Series against the Braves. You ain't gonna get me, brother. I've been hurt before. I will not be hurt again.
Have you seen the that docuseries? It was like a ESPN docuseries about the Mets called Once Upon a Time in Queens.
You know what? I meant to watch it. That came out a minute ago, right?
I'm not sure what the year was.
Yeah,
but
I think it came out a minute ago. To answer your question, no, I did not see it. I wanted to see it, and then I realized that I really just didn't. I don't care about the Mets anymore. So, like, it's hurtful. I want to be a fan. I just, like I said, I don't want to get hurt anymore.
Fair enough. Did you have any favorite Mets players aside from Doc during that time period?
Yes. So I was a big. There was Doc. I was a big Piazza fan. I was a very big Piazza fan. I was actually at back an old girlfriend of mine had a father who I missed terribly. He was a good guy. Like, he's still alive. I just, we broke up, so I don't have that relationship with him.
Got you.
But he got us tickets to game 1 and game 2 of the Subway Series. So I was in the building when Piazza, that bat, and he threw the bat at Clemens and everything. Mm-hmm. So I was always a fan of Mike Piazza. Gary, not Sheffield, what's his name?
Gary Carter.
Gary Carter, because I like the perm. I love that. I love that good perm in the shag. And then it's just like they just ran so many people in and out, man. And it was just like what was his name? The Dark Knight.
Matt Harvey.
Matt Harvey, yes.
Tar Heel.
As soon as I start believing in him, he breaks down. He can't throw a strike, and then he's always hurt. DeGrom, and it's just like, I can't. What about you? So how did you become a Rangers fan?
Well, it's taking it back to what you said earlier about the Tar Heels. The teams I root for, the biggest reason why I root for the teams I root for is because nobody else I knew was rooting for them. Gotcha. And I always wanted to pick somebody that nobody else was rooting for. And so it was around 93. And where I lived at the time, where I grew up at, it was so rural, like cable wasn't available in our neighborhood until like maybe 99 or 2000. So like
let them know.
So around 93, 94, my parents were like, you know what? And also everybody, like, there was a guy in the neighborhood that would go door to door with a petition to the cable company so they can extend their coverage out to us. And it just fell on deaf ears. And my parents were like, you know what? Let's put our nickels together. We're going to get the big ass mesh satellite dish.
I was just about to ask.
Yep. And there was a station there was a station in Dallas, I believe it was KTVT, and on like on Saturday nights they would have the Rangers game of the week. And this was also right around the time I was real big into collecting baseball cards. And I know Nolan Ryan was a big deal at that time. And so they had the game. I can't remember who they played. Nolan Ryan pitched. He didn't have a particularly good outing, but the player that really made me fall in love with the team was Julio Franco.
Julio Franco. Okay.
That was my guy right there. I was like, you know what? This is the team I'm hitching my wagon to. Good and bad. And yeah, that's how I became a Rangers fan. Then the next year, I was first day of school. I had a Rangers hat, Rangers shirt, and people. I mean, also just like you said, this is in the 90s. Like I'm living in Atlanta Braves country pretty much because that's the only team that people talked about on the news. And they're looking at me like, "The hell is wrong with you? Who are the Texas Rangers?" I'm like, you know what? That's my squad. Y'all say whatever y'all want, but yeah, this is the team I'm rolling with.
And you guarantee that ain't nobody gonna have your outfit on. Nobody gonna have it because you got it. You know what I mean? Who knows about the Texas Rangers? They don't even know what city they play in. Because for the longest time, I didn't know what city they played in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's funny, like you and I have so much in common as far as like, because I was about to say when you said y'all ain't have cable, like that's how I grew up. Like cable didn't come, so we had to get the big satellite dish, the kind that moved, that moved to, all kinds of stuff. And my father would get, I don't know if your parents were probably a little bit had a little bit more scruples in mind, but my father would get the descrambler, get the codes. So
we didn't have the descrambler.
Yeah. So he bought the ones with the descrambler, and we'd get the codes every month so we can watch all of the all the HBO, Cinemax, all that kind of stuff. Also let us watch American Triple Ecstasy, which started my my porn ventures when I was selling porn, but we won't talk about that. That's another one.
Hey, get your money, black man. I ain't mad at you.
Hey, listen, got me kicked off the basketball team, but hey, it happens.
Oh man. You know what? On that note, we're going to go ahead and pivot into the 5-question segment. So the 5-question segment, the first and last question are the same question I ask every guest on here. And questions 2 through 4 are completely random. So question number 1, what were the ideal items on Rick's school lunch tray?
You know what? That pizza, that square pizza with the cube pepperoni. Okay. I liked the corn, but I put ranch dressing on it. Okay. Yeah, I know. Listen, all right. Let me tell you how country I am. Okay. I grew up, we've been using ranch dressing since back when you had to make it with the Hidden Valley Ranch buttermilk packet. They called it buttermilk dressing back then, where you make it with the mayonnaise and the so I've been a ranch fan forever. So it'd be the and I would always also get an extra slice of pizza because big boy got to eat. And then a couple of chocolate milks. Yes. And
hey, I'm not
and a peanut butter cookie too, by the way. A peanut butter cookie.
And hey, that's a lethal combination there. Ranch dressing and chocolate milk.
Yeah.
I know you had to be levitating by the last class period.
Levitating over that commode.
Yeah. So question number 2, who is your least favorite Tar Heel?
That's easy. Mahktar N'Diaye.
Really?
Yes.
All right. What's the science behind that?
So UNC played in the 1998 Final Four. They lost to Utah. They lost to a Utah team. Utah had Michael Doliak and what's old boy's name that brushed his hair backward?
Andre Miller.
Andre Miller, yes. But that Carolina squad had Vince. It had Antoine Jameson. It had Ed Cota. Okay, so it was a good team. They had no reason losing to it. So they lost, and after the game, Mahktar said that Michael Doliak called him an N-word, right? And so it was a big deal. And so it was, major media was talking about it, blah, blah, blah. A couple of days later, he admits that he lied. You cannot admit that you got to go to hell, go to heaven, go to your deathbed with that lie. Like, yeah, he called me. You saw it right in the second half. He called it to me. Yeah, you don't, you gonna walk that back.
Wow, I never knew about that.
Yeah. Like as Slim Charles said, if it's a lie, then we fight on that lie.
Yep,
exactly. But yeah, that's that. Mahktar N'Diaye. And plus, you know what? He was goofy. All right, he wasn't a real Tar Heel. He started off at Michigan, played at Wake Forest, and then he ended up at Carolina. I ain't hell with him.
Yeah, Larry Drew would get my vote.
You know what? Larry Drew's a good one. Larry Drew's good. For the longest time, I didn't like King Rice. For the longest time, I didn't like King Rice. I just didn't like really light-skinned guys like that, which is, kind of ironic. Maybe a little self-loathing, little self-hatred.
Question number 3. Do you remember the first time you went to South Carolina?
I'm not sure if I remember the first time I went to South Carolina, but I will always remember south of the border. And it did my heart so good to know when I think you said you were on 95 not too long ago when you said the south of the border is still a thing.
Yep.
Yeah, that does my heart good because south of the border, and any place in South Carolina, my father drove long distance trucks. And so one of the things that he would bring us back is fireworks, because it was illegal. Fireworks were illegal in North Carolina for the longest time.
Didn't know that.
And so, so he would always bring us, and that'd be like his drug. He'd be like a drug runner, except, instead of bringing back bags of dope, he'd bring back some M80s and some bottle rockets. But yeah, so I'll always remember that. I remember going to Hilton Head for a car show back when I used to do car stereo competitions. I remember that, but I was so young, man. We were going and living in Goldsboro back then. Like the South Carolina border was an hour and a half, 2 hours away, so it was nothing to go to Myrtle Beach or whatever. But and more than remember Myrtle Beach, I remember south of the border, and we never ever stopped. Like I've still never at my big ass age never been to south of the border. I've driven by it and I wanted to stop, and my parents was like, yeah, sit down, keep it moving.
You were missing absolutely nothing.
Come on, don't tell me that.
I'm serious. Like once you actually walk inside of the buildings, you're going to be disappointed.
Damn. Never meet your heroes.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of neon lights on 95.
But listen, it would call to me so loud back in the day. Like you would see it. It looked like the most fun place on earth.
It did to me too. I will say one thing. One thing I will give them credit for. The tacos, not bad.
Really?
Beef taco is pretty damn good.
That is not something that I would expect. Although they do have the Mexican caricature, like standing 50 feet tall. I guess they would have tacos, but okay.
But I mean, you walk inside the restaurant, it's like the old cobblestone laminate flooring, like they used to have in the cafeterias. And I was like, you walk in the restaurant, it's basically like walking in a high school cafeteria.
Wow.
I mean, down to the flooring, down to the seats. I was like, man, am I in the right place? So I just ordered a couple of tacos, and yeah, that beef taco was hitting. I ain't even gonna hold you.
Okay, all right. If I ever get back down that way, I will have to check it out.
Word, and which ties into question number 4. What's your favorite restaurant in Charleston?
Favorite? See, I'm gonna say it backwards, and you go get me. Is it Raw 167 or 167 Raw?
167 Raw.
Okay, 167 Raw. But I will say this. You put me on to Local 616, right? Was that it?
Yeah.
Local 616 with the chef. I don't think the chef's there anymore. I think he left, but like he had that tres leches cornbread.
Yes, sir.
My word.
Yes.
Like that was a hell of a day. I want to thank you right again, because I think I thanked you before. Like you hanging out with us, like indulging our buffoonery, and then finishing it up to taking us to local 616 was like, it was like the perfect day. It was like my boy Jay Hen was like, dude, I gotta go next year. I gotta go with y'all next year, because we had that much fun. But Charleston, to me, Charleston has the best food in the country. To me. Because I mean, I love fried oysters. I love seafood. I love all that, all that good seafood and rice and all that good stuff. So yeah, Charleston is, if it's not number one, then it's 1A behind New Orleans.
Word, that's some high praise right there. And
yeah, man. Listen, it's so very good, and it's authentic, and yeah. Charleston's my spot.
Man, shout out to Ryan Wonders, man. He was the creator of Funky Wonders. That's the man responsible for the tres leches cornbread.
Where is he still around Charleston, or
he's still around?
Wherever he's at, I'll go.
Yeah, he's still around Charleston. I think he's just taking a break right now.
Okay.
That's what his last post said. So I don't know exactly what that entails, but yeah. Thank you for that cornbread. That shit was out of this world. And question number,
you told me that. No, I was about to say, you told me, because I think we were just hanging out, and you're like, hey, my man's got the tres leches cornbread. I was like, let's go. Mount up. Let's rock.
Yeah, and last question. What was the last thing that really made you laugh?
The last thing that really made me laugh. when Leonard Brothers yesterday, he cut his hair off, and somebody said, hey, you came home. And he was quick to point out that I did this voluntarily. I'm not going bald. I'm just hot. Like, that tickled me. I do not know why, but that tickled the shit out of me. But I'm goofy like that. I'll find little stupid stuff like that amusing all the time. Like those shoes over my shoulder. When my brother-in-law got those for me, the Air Mall Walkers, or the Air Concord Mills, you called them?
Yeah.
Yeah, when he got those for me for my birthday, and I'm opening the box like they're a pair of Kobe's, and they're those, like, I laughed till I had tears coming down my cheeks. Like, it's like that's one thing. I am a silly bitch, so a lot of this stuff be tickling the hell out of me.
I might make that the show title. I am a silly bitch.
Hey, run with it, because I promise you I am. And my wife looks at me, she's like, and I'm like, listen, you had the opportunity to marry an adult, and you chose me, so I don't know what you do. Yeah, that's your fault.
Oh man, that's funny. So is there anything you want to plug or promote? The floor is yours.
No, man, listen, I just want to say, like, literally, dude, you are one of the most genuine people. Like, when I saw you that time, like, we'd interacted on the internet and everything. And when I'm in Charleston for Christmas, and I'm randomly walking from the hotel to the gym, and I see you walking out of Another Broken Egg.
Yep.
And we literally had the Spider-Man meme. Yep. And it was like, from right there, like, it's just like we've been friends forever. Like, you are a genuine good dude, a genuine good soul. You, people's critic Timothy, like, I've had, like, folks talk about this, being a weirdo and all these internet friends and all this stuff. Like, I've met some fantastic people, like some people that I will call friends for the rest of my life. And you, my brother, are absolutely on top of the list. So I appreciate you. Anything I can ever do to support you, man, you let me know. And even though I'm not going to be with you at the Carolina, South Carolina game, if you go to the Carolina Clemson game, I'll be right there with you.
Oh, you know I ain't missing that. November, I already got it penciled down November 18th. I'm there.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess I'll start looking for tickets my damn self.
Word. So, man, Rick, pleasure to have you on this episode, man. This was a gas. I really enjoyed myself, man. It's like riding a bike. It's like you haven't rode a bicycle in a long time. You just hop back on. And it was like, hey, I got the hang of it. Still.
Yeah, I could do this. Yeah, I could do this. Absolutely.
Man, so make sure you like, download, and subscribe to At the Plate with Danny Foxworth. And also, since we last spoke with Danny Foxworth, make sure you follow my YouTube channel. It's at Danny Foxworth 843. I got all the episodes in video form on that channel. And yeah, for Rick and myself, this has been another episode of At the Plate / Since We Last Spoke. And until next time, y'all be good. 3 strikes.
Free Ed Coda. Free Ed Coda. By the way. There we go.